as I started reading those, they get freaking nuts. Frostlass is one that's embedded in my brain at this point about it freezes and kidnaps handsome men and hangs them up in its house as decorations. And they wrote that. When YouTube hopefully eventually does become a full-time job, now we've got quizzes here, maybe a little comedy sketch here. If I want to throw out things that we've talked about doing, we've talked about, various quiz ideas and different ways to spice them up. If someone finished your lollipop while you were looking away, it was likely this Pokemon.
Lickitung.
Incorrect.
Mr. Mime.
All wrong. The correct answer is Steelix. You lost $10 million? I'm so mad I could punch a both. You're firing me? I'm like banning you from ever being on the show again. Me, the face of Pokemon? We've been getting a lot of complaints about your lightning attacks affecting people watching the show, and we can't have that.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Skilling Podcast, where we chat and get to know passionate content creators, competitive players, and all voices who continue to make the Pokemon community incredible. Today's guest will be sure to catch your attention. He's got it all, whether you're looking for gameplay, quizzes, skits, or all-around nonsense. He's here to let all of our love for Pokemon shine with a laugh. It's our friend, ZaneGames. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. That's a really kind intro.
Hey man,
thank you.
We're here to hype you up. You have the goods. We want to make sure we're hitting it all for everyone. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, we're psyched. I mean, like we were chatting before we hit record here. Came across your channel. Logan saw you. Sent me your channel link, and I've been binging your stuff lately. So it's like, man, I know we've said this to the people we bring on. I think the number one compliment you can get for your content is if it's bingeable. And I mean, you nail that. I'm like, I just flew through a lot of these videos, whether it was the quizzes, the skits. Yeah, he's like, I did it. This is what I wanted. So
never had that before, and it's finally happening, and it's beautiful. It's magical.
That's fantastic.
And honestly, I mean, also we just got to kind of give you like a congrats as well, just because I mean we're going to talk about this a little bit later in the chat too. But I mean, we noticed your growth as well. It's been insane. So everybody else obviously has a similar opinion as we do. So we'll kind of delve into that a little bit later. But I just got to echo Josh, say we're super excited to have you. I think we mentioned it before, but I was watching like your Valentine's videos and your skits and things like that, and it was just hilarious. But before we kind of get into like the full kind of like focus on your content, we wanted to get to know you a little bit better. And so outside of Pokemon, kind of what interests and hobbies do you have that take up your time?
Outside of Pokemon, my whole life has been just kind of take a camera and film a silly comedy sketch. So for the majority of my life, since like 2007 at this point, it's just been, I have an idea about walking around the park, and then this happens, and just filming it. And so doing random comedy skits has always been like my main thing. And then off camera, even still on camera sometimes, I do a lot of music too. Whether it's like piano, guitar, singing, whatever. I do a lot of music, writing for film, trying to not getting picked up. There's a big difference, just writing and hoping. And then sometimes getting to do like background work in film as of my life a couple years ago is also really cool. So that's aside from YouTube, you might see a Zane cameo here or there in the background. I'm one of those extras now and on film and TV, which is wild.
I'm gonna keep an eye out every show and movie dog. Like we're saying, he's in there somewhere.
That's all
I can give you one for sure if you want one.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Have you heard of the Apple TV movie Ghosted with Chris Evans and Ana de Armas?
Yeah.
There is a scene where they are at a bar with like rock music going on, and Chris Evans doesn't want to get up on stage, and somebody else yells, "Give me the mic!" And for a split second, you will see me walk up on stage.
There's our guy. That's incredible.
That's so cool.
So there's a random ZaneGames cameo for anybody out there listening.
I know, right? So it's like we come for Chris Evans, but we stay for Zane. So that's what they're telling me.
Honestly, though, that's a beautiful sentence.
I know. Would you ever thought that would be an actual sentence? That's a real thing, not just a
It's
dream or
true.
whatever.
Come for
That's
Chris,
awesome.
stay for Zane.
Well, what's cool? So I noticed obviously you did your Pokemon types rap, which by the way, super catchy, and even someone who's
Thank
played the
you.
games for, I mean, basically since I was a kid. It's so Logan and I will do like little we're streaming right now playing a Pokemon ROM hack. And
Nice.
I feel like I have pretty much everything down pat. But every once in a while, there'll be some like weird interaction where like it's two dual type Pokemon, and I'm like, okay, can we just triple check to make sure this is either neutrally effective or not very effective? So now that should help me out. But I was gonna say I like the musical talent because I also play piano and guitar myself. So I was like,
That's so
this
cool.
this guy's a Renaissance man. So yeah, no, I've been playing guitar for about since I was about 12 or 13, and then piano since I was 10. So
Dang, man.
I mean, musical stuff, I'm right there with you. I think it's another reason I love love Pokemon is that the music's always a banger in
Oh, it
any of the
is.
games. So
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. With like, music is a banger in the Pokemon world, and I had so much trouble with. I still do with Pokemon
yeah,
types. I think even in like one of my earlier videos, for the life of me, you'll hear I just cannot work off of Pokemon types at all. And so I was like, this has got to be a problem for more than just me at this point.
oh man,
And
oh
so
yeah,
nobody's done like a decent like thing like that's just like, just in case you need a little something, here's a way to remember
yeah,
Pokemon types.
Cheat sheet.
Because I mean, in the past I actually this is a random fact of why that exists. I in middle school wanted to get the opportunity to pie my principal in the face on Pi Day. And
Oh,
so I took the pi numbers and put them into a song so they were easier to remember. So that I
nice.
remembered at the
okay.
time, I think, 350 digits of pi.
Oh my gosh,
and got to pie my principal in the face. And that's where I was like, yeah, so if you turn it into a song, it'll be easier to remember.
it's easy to remember, right? Yeah,
It's so
there you
true.
go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. There are just some weird type interactions like that where I think Logan it was maybe last week or something like that where it's like I know one's not very effective on the other, but is it the same the other way around? It's like poison on fighting and then
Yes.
fighting back on poison.
Bam.
Like,
Sure.
can we triple check that? I cannot
Mhm.
remember. So that's awesome.
Well, especially because like bug and fighting resist each other, and then but like poison is just like the one where it's just like this is really weird one. Like I just feel like poison has really weird resistances. To be completely honest, like they don't always make
It's
sense to
random.
me,
Mhm.
and so it's just funny that way. I
Yeah,
was
that's
also
funny.
going to shout out. So you mentioned at the beginning that you just always kind of had a camera. Were you a Vine kid? I got to know.
I was a Vine kid, but not a high quality Vine kid. I'll say that.
Okay,
I
okay.
loved the concept of Vine, but I've always been a pretty like naive wandering child at heart. I would argue that I'm the kind of kid that would be wandering around the house with a knife, not knowing what a knife can do. Like you were
You're
just like, I got this. This
Yeah.
could be something, and my mom's like, put that
No,
away.
let's put that way. Yeah, let's put
Like,
that down, please.
I would make a
Zane?
Vine that was just like put like have this shirt and that shirt swap on that person and have a funny bit come out of it, but the editing wouldn't be great or anything. Obviously it was
Right.
only
Yeah.
like 6 seconds, but like I didn't realize that people were making things that were getting a lot of attention on Vine. I was
Yeah.
just like, this is entertaining.
Oh yeah.
This is cute. I like it. I wish I
Fine.
knew a little bit more at the time.
Yeah, yeah. And now here we are, TikTok's taking it all over. So
Yeah.
it's funny you mentioned that, Logan. I think Vine was. I was in end of high school when that was like really really big, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, dude, we got to do something with this, and never amounted to anything. But Vine was a good time.
Oh yeah.
Vine was I like part of me wonders like in the multiverse of it all, like if Vine never went away, like what would it have evolved into? What quality could we have still gotten, because I just kind
Yeah.
of felt like it was the prime of short. I don't know. It started a lot of things. It's kind of like early YouTube, so there's a nostalgic bit for it there, like Charlie Bit Me or things like that. But good times. I love Vine.
Yeah.
So we want to ask you as well, now kind of dipping more into the Pokemon side of things. Tell us more about your journey there. Did you play the games growing up? Did you watch the anime? Did you collect cards? A little bit of everything?
Oh, everything. Oh,
Yeah.
everything. I had a giant toy chest drawer full of all of the little toys. My parents would potty train me by hanging up a Pokemon toy or a Pokemon card pack and saying that if I properly went to the bathroom, I could get that as a
I love
reward.
it.
I love it.
And like when I said I was a naive wandering child, like I so badly wanted to be in the Pokemon universe that like I have 2 older sisters and they liked to prank me growing up. That they would be like, "Hey, we know how to make you look like Ghastly," and I'd be like, "Oh, sweet, I get to be a Pokemon," and they would, just turn me into a girl, and I would just be like, "Okay,
Okay, thank you for that.
But like I was like absolutely believing like I was going to be Ghastly, and I was super
I'm
bummed
looking
and
at
let down.
Ghastly.
And I didn't catch on when they were painting my nails for some reason. That kind of just flies over my head.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah, no, I
hilarious.
grew up collecting the cards, not knowing how to play the card game until like 3 years ago. I Pokemon Sapphire is near and dear to my heart because that's one of the first games that I played. I think I played it multiple times over. It's one of the first ones I remember for sure finishing all on my own without using any kind of like Game Shark device or any like trading a game with a friend. I even like lost the cartridge at one point and begged my mom to buy me a second one, and lost the second one and begged her to buy me a third one. And that's also where I learned like heartbreak of like, playing the whole game through once, not knowing that I could save before my encounter with Kyogre and not getting Kyogre, and then realizing I'm going to do this whole thing again because I need that boy.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
And I mean, yeah, the show, obviously I don't remember, I was young enough that I don't remember how much of the show I watched, but I definitely remember watching it and trying to memorize the whole Pokemon rap beforehand. I grew up on so much Pokemon that I am quite literally baffled that it took me this long to even consider that I could just talk about Pokemon on YouTube.
Yeah, just content create. Yeah, exactly.
It was staring me in the face.
I love
for years and
so
years.
much.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
I gotta give you, some credit though, because like when I was a kid, like so believing that you could become Ghastly. I remember me and my cousin, when we were little too, we just wanted Pokemon to be real so bad that at Thanksgiving, we got the wishbone, both of us, and we were like, okay, whoever gets it has to wish for Pokemon to be real. And we went to bed, and the next day we were so hopeful, but it didn't last.
It's so I love hearing like it's so funny whenever we ask this question. I'm just like, man, my childhood was not unique at all. Like everyone, we all kind of did like little bits of the same thing where it's like no one knew how to play the card game when you were little. I just remember we'd have a huge pile, my brother and I, and it would just be like pull one out, put it down on the ground, and it's whatever one had the higher HP. So it's like, oh cool, this one's 100, yours is 80, mine wins.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, all the text there at the bottom, none of that obviously matters, right? It's just whatever the higher HP was.
The moves are flair.
Yeah, it's like, okay. And I mean, then there's that, and then going on like car rides for vacations and like trying to assign real life animals with what that Pokemon would be. It's like, hey, there's a bunch of Tailo up there or something like that. And it's just oh man, it's good times. And then it's funny you mentioned that with Sapphire as well. So my first one was Sapphire, Ruby, Emerald. Favorite game ever is Emerald. And yeah, I just didn't know how to save. I guess 10-year-old, 9-year-old me was like, when it says, do you want to overwrite your data? That didn't compute. So I'm like, oh, it's a bad thing. I don't want to overwrite my data. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
And I turn it off, turn it back on. It's like, do you want to start a new game? And I'm like, what? What do you mean new game? So anyways, that's awesome.
I completely get that. Yeah. No, I mean, I was desperate enough to like make Pokemon be real in my life. I remember I grew up playing baseball for a lot of my life. And I would paint baseballs to look like Pokeballs. So that I would like quietly start having Pokeballs to collect Pokemon when I ran into them.
So good.
Type of stuff.
I love that. It's so good.
I remember at college there was a ping pong table like at one of the places that I went to, one of like just the places that you can go, and somebody had painted all the ping pong balls to be Pokeballs. And I was like,
awesome.
Whoever did this, you are a great soul.
That's amazing.
So now that we've kind of talked about your love for Pokemon, kind of that part of your life, we're kind of curious. So how did you get into starting to create content? You kind of mentioned this a little bit at the beginning that you've always kind of been okay with the camera, but what led to you starting a YouTube channel and really focusing down on becoming a Pokemon content creator?
Okay, I gotta compact this as much as I can for you. So, long story short, I originally started trying to do anything on YouTube 2007 or 8.
Mhm.
And, you know, I was 5th grade, not quality camera, not good at, don't know how to edit. It just random funny little skits. And since then, I've created, I think in my counting, like 40 plus YouTube channels, on and off, deleted, tried again, from every topic, from comedy sketches to short films to music, podcasts, news like Philip DeFranco, cinematography, like filming just scenery and putting it to music, whatever you can think of. I tried, and I even tried it where it was one topic for one channel, one channel that did several topics. I nothing ever took off. Nothing got more than 1,000 views anywhere. And this one was as random as it gets. The ZaneGames channel was not even my main channel currently. My main channel was Zane Films, which is still sitting barren and not getting views right now.
Anything, right?
But yeah. In college, I was doing a 48-hour film festival where you get 48 hours to make a film happen randomly from a prompt. I did this was in 2019. I did a fake trip. I got my arm hurt on the fake trip. I blacked out and I broke a bunch of my teeth. And from that moment, beginning of 2019, I had to go through a bunch of like teeth surgery stuff, which really
not fun.
Yeah, that really like messed with my head, was a problem with my time, very time consuming, on and off again for a long time. And even when I thought that I was past that, a year ago, almost today, not today, but a year ago, I heard that my fake teeth were failing and I needed to get them replaced again. And I was like, I don't know how that happened. And they were like, we don't even know how that can happen. They knew the words for how it happened, but they don't know the reason it happened.
And you're like, awesome.
I was like, great. I don't want to stop creating, even though I don't want my face to be seen. And I don't want to like let this get me down that it's coming back with something that brings me joy. And that was Pokemon. And I was like, what if I just decide during this time when I can't show my face that I do something relaxing that I know I love, and that's Pokemon. And it was just gonna be me playing Pokemon Unite. That was 100% the idea, was just me playing Pokemon Unite. I'll record my best games and I'll upload those. And it did pretty okay right off the bat. That got like a couple hundred views right off the bat. And I was like, I love this. And then very quickly I thought Pokemon quizzes and like Pokemon short form. And those started getting attention. And I was like, okay, we can build off this. And then I started doing, I was like, what if I start putting my silliness into it too? And one of my early videos that I'm really proud of is after getting my surgery on my teeth and on my wisdom teeth simultaneously, I have a video where my mouth is full of gauze, so you can't understand me at all. But I made my friend guess the name of the Pokemon I was saying while my mouth was full. So it was just me in pain trying to make one word legible, and they had to figure out what I was saying. And that one I was thrilled with.
Articuno and
yeah, it was like and it just kept building, and I was thrilled about that. And then out of nowhere, Pokemon short skits on YouTube started getting views, and I don't know what to tell my younger self about this, because I feel like there's supposed to be a trick that I learned, or there's supposed to be a keyword that I learned, or a title trick or whatever. It just happened. It really does just happen. And even as fast as it happened, sometimes it wouldn't happen, where I had I had a Pokemon short erupt for like 7 million views, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then a week later, like 5,000 views. And I'm like, I didn't change anything about what I was doing. The length, the titling, nothing. It's just the audience is just here and not there sometimes. And so even still, after having shorts pop off, I was like, I can't know what to trust. And then within the last couple weeks, the quiz idea has really gained an audience. And I've been so elated about it. and I still don't know what to expect in the future. I don't understand how what's happening is happening, and I don't know what I can trust yet, but I'm riding the wave, and all I can do is keep making things that make me happy. And I'm just glad that right now there is somebody out there that's also appreciating it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think it's the big thing that we, a lot of people have mentioned in the space of content creation is that ultimately, if you can fall back and say, hey, this makes me happy, I'm passionate about it, it makes me
Yeah.
feel comfortable and safe. Because if you can emit those genuine emotions to your audience, then they're going to pick up on that. If you're being fake, or if it's just kind of a view grab or a money grab or whatever, not that, wanting to get views and get attention is inherently bad. It's all about what you're ultimately trying to put out there, what version of yourself. And I think that's very clear with you is that you have a passion for Pokemon, you have a very bright, positive personality, and if people pick up on that, I mean, it's that's the reason it takes off. I mean, obviously there's an all-knowing algorithm that none of us will ever be able to crack, because one day, like you said, we'll have a 7 million view short, and then next week it'll be 0.01% of that 7 million views. But
Exactly.
I mean, in the long run, it might be up and down, but it'll trend upwards, and I think you're seeing that, and that's a really cool thing for people to take home out there who are creating content.
It is. It's surreal that, as a kid who wants advice on something like this, the only thing that I think I ever remember hearing from everybody was just like, never give up. And that's
Yeah.
the worst cliche in the world, because you're like, well, I haven't given up for years, and it's still not happening. I think that the broader picture on that's really helped me is I have deleted several YouTube channels because I didn't understand just unlisting videos and starting over. I thought it best to start from scratch every time. Even after doing all of that, this one was the one I didn't think was going to be the one that popped off. And let alone, this is not how I expected it to exist right now. I thought it was going to be just gameplay, just Pokemon Unite. And now it's this. And so it was more so me not giving up on the hope that YouTube in some way would find a pocket for me. And it finally has. I never could have predicted that it would have happened this way.
Right.
And I didn't even think of Pokemon for, what was it, like freaking 16 years at this point? That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy.
Insane. That's
insane. Yeah.
Well, especially because I know for us, like when we were starting this YouTube, me and Josh kind of started, talked about maybe starting our own YouTube channel for like a year and a half. And I remember like myself going back and forth for so long, being like, but Pokemon's also like so saturated. I'm not going to be able to make a difference at all. Like it doesn't, like, I won't make like anything, like I just won't matter in this space. But it's like I think kind of like what you were saying is like you decided to do it just because you were like, I'm looking to have fun after, this, like I'm going through some stuff. I want to have fun when I come back. And I think that's really like it's kind of like that golden ticket, I think, in a lot of ways, where you let go of the stuff with YouTube that doesn't matter, like the stress over constantly creating, the stress over, and sometimes we always have that little bit, right? But you really focus on just I'm gonna be me, show my love for something I love here, and let's have fun with the community as well, because this community is so amazing to just kind of like go in, and it embraces you, honestly. Like, I mean, we've had fantastic feedback right from the get-go, and it's just been one of those things where it really is like, I can make a difference, even though it's not necessarily like I'm the most, or like, I'm the newest person, or I'm doing the coolest things, but I'm being me, and someone needs it out there today. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I got a second down. I got a second down on what you just said about the audience. This is the kindest YouTube audience world I have ever experienced. Like I've experienced where I get 0 views and the one and only comment I get is just about delete my channel. And out of nowhere, everybody on any of these videos now is just the kindest, most uplifting, heartwarming person ever. And I feel like I just got to thank them every single day, because I don't know how I found these people. And I'm thankful to know that this group exists and accepts me and continues to accept me after everything that I post. It's magical, these people, and something I don't think anybody that knows them could ever take for granted.
For sure.
I love that. I do gotta bring up my theory though about the algorithm. I actually think that the algorithm was created by the people who made the Gen 1 games. And so we all don't know what's going on because
There
they
you
didn't
go.
know what was going on. Missingno's in there somewhere, and it's just messing everything up every time.
Just broken code everywhere. Yeah.
That's not a bad theory. That missing no is the reason that this is so unpredictable.
It's infected. Yeah, it's infected everything.
It's
Yeah.
the chaos element bouncing
There
around
you
right
go.
now.
I love that. That's a good theory. It's a good working theory. So we want to ask you, about your different kinds of content that you do, because obviously there's an awesome variety. I think it's a little bit of a niche for everyone. One thing I want to ask you about are your skits, because you said you have a little bit of a background in just being funny, trying to make people laugh, right?
Yeah.
Tell us more about how you write those, act them out, find inspiration for them. Tell us about that process.
Okay. So in terms of the Pokemon specific skits that are going on right now, a lot of that just stems from the fact that as a kid growing up, I don't think I ever looked at entries in the Pokedex. I don't think I ever acknowledged that there was like a description about the
Yeah,
Pokemon.
yeah.
I was just like, Pokemon's in the Pokedex. I see their
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
And then growing up out of nowhere, I decided that I could test my friends on, can you guess the Pokemon based on like their entry? Because I was like, oh, they have several entries. It does
Mhm.
change from Silver to Sapphire to Ultra Sun and Moon or whatever.
Yeah.
And as I started reading those, they get freaking nuts sometimes. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes,
they talk
do. Yes,
about
they do.
Frostlass is one that's embedded in my brain at this point about it freezes and kidnaps handsome men and hangs them up in its house as decorations. And they wrote that. That's so specific. That's not just like, it finds people dying on an icy mountain like Articunos.
Yeah.
No, it's like,
Well-
no, it looks for attractive men and it keeps them as decorations.
As ornaments, basically, yeah.
And,
That's
and I
insane.
got and I gotta wonder here too, because so for example, because I was watching a video on the localizers the other day where they can kind of make some changes because they're trying to make things like I was seeing they changed specific poses on sprites in the older games because they didn't want to have the fisherman smoking or something like that, right?
Sure.
But it's I kind of sit there and I go, the localizers were just like, okay, this is kind of what it roughly translates to. I guess we're gonna keep it, or it's like, no, let's make it so that she's a kidnapper, man.
I'm so glad you mentioned this because one of we have kind of a fun section at the end, and I think we should just hit this now. Is we were going to actually ask you about your favorite Pokédex entries, whether that's something creepy, interesting, or quirky, because there are some really cute personality type ones too, where it's like, oh, that gives that specific Pokemon a lot of personality, but there are some that are beyond creepy because I know
So many good ones.
I think it's Palisand that says that it spits the bones out right as one of its attacks, like actual bones, and I'm like,
it's nuts.
Wait, what? Yeah.
And also, if I'm not mistaken, because this is the thing that I started to like very specifically in doing the Pokemon sketches. The first one I thought, I was like, aha, I can make fun of the fact that in the intro for Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander in their intro episodes with Ash, Bulbasaur is super cool, protects a village of Pokemon from being kidnapped. Awesome.
Yeah.
Squirtle leads the frickin' Squirtle Squad and also saves Ash from being bombed by Team Rocket. What a cool guy. And Charmander is on a rock dying, abandoned by its trainer, abandoned in a thunderstorm, and when it's met by its trainer later, the trainer's like, yeah, I knew you were worthless. It's terrible. And it even tries to go back to that trainer after it abandons it. I'm like, this is heartbreaking. And so I wanted to play with that because I was like, that's a great rule of three contrast to play with. And then it went into the skits. And Palisand, if I'm not mistaken, says something about if a kid puts its hand in its mouth, then Palisand will just keep the kid. And to me, if that's the case, in my head, the argument I make is if a kid's gonna put its hand in the mouth, if a sandcastle opens its mouth and a kid's like, what's in there? I think the kid kind of it's the kid's fault at that point.
I mean, I
would be pretty terrified if I built it's like the Frosty the Snowman effect. If I build a snowman and it comes to life, I'm gonna freak out. I'm not gonna be like,
oh yeah,
cool, yeah. I'm gonna be like, what have I done? Is this on my hands?
I think I miss a pretty big part of the Palisand part. So it's not only spitting up the dried up bones, but it's specifically the bones from those whose vitality it's drained. So it's
Ooh.
like, and then Ultra Sun has to go out of its way to say that it eats. Oh man, eats small Pokemon and siphons away their vital essence while they're still alive. It's like you
That's
guys could have like stopped like 3 levels
horrifying.
back, but you kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it.
Yeah,
Oh
there's
man.
no end, and I think, I mean, there are plenty of dark ones. I mean, Phantump is a kid that got lost in the woods,
Oh man, yeah.
and then like spirit got absorbed by a tree stump, and like these are crazy. Drifloon kidnaps children, or at least
Yeah,
tries
just
to.
floats away with them. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
never to be
and
seen
th-
again.
and then there are straight up weird ones. Like one of the best weird ones I know that our group loves to bring up is Shuckle makes juice mixed with like berries in its shell and its toe juice. Like it makes smoothies from berries mixed with its own toe juice.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and that's disgusting. And apparently it's one of the most delicious things you could have. And to that I ask, would you ever drink it if you knew?
A
If you
Shuckle
knew what was
shake?
going on? Yeah, would you drink a Shuckle Shake if you knew the ingredients?
That's the
Shuckle
question, right?
Shack,
That's the $1
baby.
million question. One of my other favorite
I'm
ones.
starting
I
up
got
Chuckle Shack.
Shuckle Shack. There you go. One other one before I forget, and I know we kind of divert because this is just because we were going to ask you about this later, so I'm glad this came up anyways.
Yeah.
One of my favorite like quirkier, funnier ones is I can't remember what game it's in, but it talks about I like the Dex entries that mention other Pokemon and their kind of relationships with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's either it's probably Moon, I want to say, because that's when this Pokemon came out. But Oranguru and Slowking have this specific relationship where Oranguru is always in the jungle, and it will only, on very rare occasions, show up to the beach, and it shows up to the beach to only match wits with Slowking. And in Slowking's, it says that it usually engages in a battle of wits with Oranguru, and that it usually results in a draw. It's just like, can you
Wow.
imagine yourself on the beach and those two are just like insulting each other, but like intellectually and eloquently and everything like that? I thought that was so funny. So I guess, Oranguru and Slowking have a little bit of beef, and Oranguru specifically goes out of its way on rare occasions to do that. So
That's so good.
I just love little stuff like that.
They're
So
just like playing chess on the beach, just like you
basically,
just go.
yeah, that's how I understood that.
And I think there are creepy ones, there are weird ones, there's
Yeah.
interesting like that. And then I think one of the ones that stands out to me is like, okay, maybe we need to like make some ground rules with this Pokemon is, Drampa is a very popular one of the fact
Yeah.
that if its trainer is bullied, it will fly over to that bully's house and burn it
down. Yeah.
And that's
right.
like, that's not creepy, that's not weird, that's like bad. That's
Yeah.
Drampa, hold on.
It's like, I appreciate it, but no.
That's on the kid now, and we've given him a lot to think about while he's trying to become a Pokemon master.
Well, and part of me wonders, like, is this like common occurrence? Like, if you're looking at like the Pokemon world, like do they have like 30 so cases where Drampas have done this, or is
Right.
it like is this just Florida guys Drampa,
Florida
out
guys.
there all of a sudden just like burning people's houses down,
Oh man.
It's
I love
hard to
it.
keep track of the crazy that comes from these Pokemon at this point because
I know.
yeah, they're all over the place.
It's so funny because it has to be significant. Like, you can't just say something about its diet. It had to be significant enough that's like, no, all the Pokemon professors agree to put this in the Pokédex as
Yeah.
like the headlining information for this specific Pokemon. It's not like Drampa loves his citrus berries or something like that. It's like, no, Drampa burns houses down if you piss off its trainers. So yeah, it's awesome.
I do think it's pretty crazy. I wonder if it has something to do with translation or whatnot, where they do all agree that is the best way that they could word that.
Yeah,
like that.
so
that
good.
wasn't just like they could have said Drampa goes to like get vengeance, which is still terrifying. But like, at least we know that the man's not homeless in that situation.
Oh man, so good.
I love it. Kind of along the same vein, I mean, you also have these Into the Lord videos, which, I mean, obviously, from our conversation, we can tell here that we are all, really interested in like the little tidbits, the little like the small stuff that really makes the Pokemon universe so much bigger. So we're kind of interested, to kind of hear more about, like, you did some lore videos on Kadabra, Lugia, and we're just kind of curious, those types of videos. How do you research for those? What kind of things are you looking for to kind of make a into the lore type video?
The into the lore type video, very obviously game theory inspired. That
Yes.
stemmed from I'm gonna make something. I wanted to with the Kadabra one. I was like, obviously there are facts that work against what I'm saying, and I was like,
Hmm.
what if I just wholeheartedly dive into the crazy of, like, let's pretend that if I give you the Pokemon's perspective on its situation, can we pretend for however many minutes that there is something that is unspoken about this situation? Because I was like, it
Yeah.
started with the fact of one of Kadabra's Pokedex entries plays with the whole, like, one night it just woke up and was a Kadabra. And I was like,
Yeah.
why? What did it do that made it a Kadabra? Also, when we're talking, like, people wrote down these entries, who saw that? Who
Yeah.
saw him turn into a Kadabra? Is this a cover up? Is this the person knowing they were about to turn into a Kadabra? And it just
And they
it
like
evolved
scribble.
there. And it also stemmed from the fact of I think Kadabra's card was taken away in like 2002 because whatever
Yep.
illusionist for the likeness was like, don't use it, and then just this year or so brought it back and was like, it's going to be back in circulation or whatnot. And I was
Mhm.
like, what if there was more reason there? That, like, what if that wasn't just like hey, get rid of this card? What if there was like a silencing of Kadabra because Kadabra knew something? And that's where that whole idea started to
Yeah,
spin.
that's
And I was
fun.
like,
That's fun.
Abra's Japanese name is Casey, and I believe it's named off of a magician. But I was like, that's a real person's name. What if that's a real person in Pokemon? And so it just started weaving itself. And that at that point, like, once I have any kind of jumping off point, the second I start saying something, there will be something. If you just imagine that, like, you don't have to worry about the facts and anything is possible, then you can go for wherever. And that's how the Lugia one happened, because I was just like, everyone complains, why isn't Lugia a water type? And somehow, spoiler alert, at the end of that video, I fall into, like, you are Lugia's child and your dad is Lugia. And somehow I've built, like, that could be the case. Obviously it can't, but, like, what if it is? And the thing that I found so fun about that was being able to say the Pokemon's perspective to make you feel like they're telling you these are facts that could be true. So I thought that was a fun, different thing of, like, it's like if game theory was doing this and that, but then also when you have a question about Mario from Mario games, like, what if Mario told you his opinion? I was like, that's an interesting take on something, and that's how that evolved. And yeah, those are crazy.
Those are so fun. I love those kinds of things. That's why we wanted to specifically ask about those, because they're fascinating. I forgot about that Kadabra tidbit. That's really, again, back to the creepiness.
Yeah.
Looked it up. Pokemon Fire Red. It happened one morning. A boy with extrasensory powers awoke in bed, transformed into Kadabra. It's just like, what's the
That's so
lore on
weird.
that, man? So that's
Yep.
crazy. So one more thing I want to ask you about your channel before we kind of hop in. We have a rapid fire round, and then we have our shower thoughts section, which is just kind of the miscellaneous Pokemon thoughts that pop up during the day, whether you're in the shower, driving to work, doing, mowing the lawn, whatever you're doing.
Mhm.
So we have some of those, but we want to ask you really quick. We noticed that, of course, and we've kind of touched on it a little bit already, talking about your channel's growth. Saw your video that wasn't too long ago talking about hitting 1K subs, and then shortly after 10K. So the growth of your channel has been really cool to see. So we want to ask you,
Yeah.
obviously this is different for everyone. What have you learned about content creation and managing a channel as you've grown? And what can you maybe give as advice to content creators out there? And then what could you maybe tease for people that you have in store for the rest of this year?
Oh, okay. Well, see, this is the wild thing. My current channel right now is not even a year old.
Yeah.
That's
Which
crazy.
is baffling to me. I started doing something that, like I said, it was Pokemon Unite, and it was going to be a Pokemon Unite video every either every day or every couple of days, because I was like, that's something easy and consistent I can do. Those are keys to me. If you find something that doesn't stress you the heck out, that you can do daily, weekly, bi-weekly, every 3 days, whatever, that's the key. Consistency. Because people in that consistency will tell you what they love, what they think you could change. They'll appreciate what you do and what you change, and they'll love to stick around to see your growth and where you go from there. This currently is still not my full-time job, so it is still very hard to balance what I could fully put into editing something within a whole week. Currently my job is pretty a rough schedule. It can be like
it's Shuckle Shack, right?
Yeah, exactly. I work at Shuckle Shack, and it's tedious, and they don't pay me near enough.
I'm a franchise owner of a Shuckle Shack out here. So
I was swooped into a franchise of Shuckle Shack, and the only way that I can get by is trying to pull other people into franchising Shuckle Shacks. But
it's
like
right
my hours, like sometimes
I was gonna say. It's right next to Chick-fil-A. Sorry,
That's good.
I'm done.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm done.
But like sometimes, I legitimately might be on call from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And so that's nuts. And there's no window to fit something in there. And so what people might not know is right now, it's like I'll find one day a week that I can record for a couple hours, edit that night, and have that video ready to go up sometime within the week, because that's my window right now. So it's rough on doing things weekly, because at the time of doing this, I work in the film industry currently, and it was on a hiatus. So the film industry gone, I could exclusively work on YouTube. So I didn't have to worry about scheduling anything else. It was just this. And so when I had an idea for a video that would take 6 hours to film and 2 days to edit, that was fine. And I'm glad that I got something out there like that, so people know I at least know like the realm of possibilities of like doing a whole, I ranked all these Pokemon this way or whatnot. But currently, I'm immensely thankful that people like the quiz ideas the way they are right now, because it is so fun to make, but it is so less stressful than a lot of past editing ideas on me.
Yeah.
I know that they could be a little bit more zhuzhed up, but for the time that I have, what I can make them, and the fact that people appreciate that right now is my perfect window of, I'm having so much fun with my friends. The audience seems to be having the time of their lives, which is great. I can throw it into my schedule very nice and neatly right in a window, and I can manage to do that weekly right now. And I'm glad that I have found that window. And when YouTube hopefully eventually does become a full-time job, I can start to be like, now we've got quizzes here, maybe a little something extra here, maybe a little comedy sketch here, maybe a little bit of another like into the lore theory here. Maybe we do, if I want to throw out things that we've talked about doing, we've talked about, various quiz ideas and different ways to spice them up. And we've got a couple ideas on how to spice them up. And we did a video series once where we take Pokemon fusions. And I show them real quick to one of my friends, and then he describes them to another one of my friends like he saw a robber at a crime scene, and they're doing one of those like character sketches. And I love the idea of like, he's got this actual monstrosity of a Pokemon mix, but from description, what does my artist friend happen to be able to draw up? And I was like, stuff like that I also find super fun. We did we played the game Code Names, but where we could only give Pokemon as the hints, like Articuno would be our only way of guessing off the words. And doing anything like that in the future, I'm also super down for. I obviously would love to stick with the realm of quizzes currently, as I know that that's what people admire right now, and that's something that I'm having a thrilling time with. But don't despair. We've got several ideas that aren't the exact quiz thing that we're making right now for the future. So I would say, even if a quiz didn't, like, I assume a quiz is going to happen next week, but if a quiz didn't happen next week, currently our flow seems to be good enough that we have something that we can make next week. And so if I had to give you another note, besides consistency is important, consistency is super important. Making stuff a bunch. If you look at my Zane Films channel, I told my fiance this, where I was like, I think there are maybe 2 videos. I have like 700 videos on that channel, and I think there are like 2 that I would want you to watch. Like there are dumb sketches on there where I'm like, if I showed you that, I'd be like, but don't judge my whole ability off of what you're watching right now, please. Like, that's improvised, or the editing's bad, or this and that. So it's very clear that you do get better. Not only do you learn more and get better, but you will also learn what you're willing to let your standards be. And that's also nice and important, where I'm like, one of those dumb sketches, maybe once to like make the audience laugh would be funny, but like, I can't do that on a weekly basis. That's just not gonna live up to anything that I'm working off of right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And surround yourself with people that only make you feel excited and good about the life that you're living.
Love that.
My friend group that I'm doing all these quizzes with right now could not be a more positive, silly bunch right now. Their Pokemon knowledge is spread from 10 to 0, and there's chaos, there's happiness, there's genuine knowledge all involved, and it's just one of the luckiest little things to be a part of. And I'm very, very thankful that they're willing to do stuff like this with me on a weekly basis, because we're all in different time zones. And it's beautiful that it could work out this way. So if you manage to fall into just a consistency and know that weekly you accurately judge yourself on like going forward, I think it is probably better if I don't do this in a video, or if I speed this up, or maybe if I do a better title sequence or something. It's not going to guarantee it's not going to guarantee views. Who knows what Missing Nose doing to the YouTube algorithm? But it is going to make you feel better about when it is seen, and it is going to make your audience feel more excited about what's to come next, because you're kind of setting that bar for them of like, at least I know that this is possible. So I think those are all important to know.
That's great. That's great. That's perfect.
That's awesome.
I love that.
I'm excited to see like some of these teasers of the quizzes that you're saying. The thing is, it's kind of fun when you have a format like this. Like Josh and I are also trying to figure out like, because we kind of have these first interviews, where we get to know our guests, and it's really fun. But then we're trying to think of like, we love to have people back on, and so it's like, how are we going to do that? And so I think that the evolving aspect of it with the consistency is really just a beautiful thing, because you yourself become like something, like you find your passion within like something you're passionate about, and that's really fun, I think. And so I love it so much. But we're going to move forward here into our rapid fire round. So this is kind of a fun little game we play here, where this is going to be, we're going to give you just a brief little question. It could be about it's going to be about the Pokemon stuff, but it's kind of like whatever's the first thing that comes off the top of your head. And so we're just kind of curious to see. So we're kind of curious, what is your favorite Pokemon anime opening?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to be honest. The first thing I think of is Poco Rap. This starts with the I want to be the best.
Yep.
That's it.
Was.
That's what's in my head right now when you say that. If I get the rap, that's it for me.
That's excellent choice.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I have that in my mowing playlist, and it's just like every other week or so, it just comes up, and it's just like, could you do it? It's like Pokemon.
Love it. So good. All right, next one we got for you is, so you've done multiple quiz type videos. What's been your favorite wrong answer?
Oh my goodness. It's gotta be I'm trying to remember if it was. I've put myself in a corner of these. It's so messed up that I can't remember what's wrong at this point.
Yeah, so
Going off of just whether you mean what I've put on the quiz or what my friends have said that is wrong but still hilarious. I know Snom, but he isn't afraid is a great running gag for us right now.
so good.
That's something that we love. Is like
Yeah.
something about they aren't afraid is it's just opened up a whole new world of Pokemon that we didn't know before. The
So
amount
good.
of Pokemon that change once they're no longer afraid is crazy.
Right.
I love that gag. It's popped up a few times. It makes me laugh more and more each time. That's great.
It's really fun to play with.
I love it. The next one we have for you is, what is your favorite side franchise game, whether that be like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon Unite, Pokemon I'm trying to think, Cafe, Pokemon Sleep, side franchise games, any favorites?
Snap, Troze, Dash, Ranger. There's a lot of
Holy
them.
cow. Okay. I mean, I grew up playing Pokemon Channel, which is a weird one.
Ooh,
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
That's literally one where you're in a house. You decorate the house.
Yeah,
Pikachu wants to watch TV, and if you don't watch TV with it, Pikachu gets real sad. And
Yeah, I
that's the
remember
game.
that. I remember renting that from like Blockbuster as a kid. I don't think we ever had it, but I remember playing it on GameCube all the time.
Yeah.
That one's
That's a big one for me, just from nostalgia of its oddity. Just trying to run off of what comes to mind as well. Pokemon Stadium is die hard. The concept of it is I would lose my marbles if they were just like, hey, here's a brand new Pokemon Stadium game where you can pick from all of the Pokemon. And why not just throw in the Megas and the Shinies and the whatnot? It's just a battle simulator.
Yeah,
but but you don't have to catch the Pokemon. You just get to pick your favorite party and face your friends. And I think that is a grand missed opportunity if they're not at least considering it. And future, I know Pokemon Pocket. I know I'm gonna be obsessed with when the card game Pocket comes out.
I'm so excited for that. Cool. I'm so excited for that.
Whenever that comes out, I'm gonna be obsessed with that because that's gonna hit me the same way Pokemon Go hit me when that came out. Where I'm like, finally, I get to just open these cards and have them on my phone, and I can send them off to my friend, and we can trade cards.
It's so cool.
Yeah,
and I can quick battle with these cards. I'm gonna be sold on that. When
I'm sold.
Comes out.
Yeah. Some of the arts they've teased for it look amazing. Like, well, the fact that you can zoom in on the art and like look around it and everything.
That's cool. The immersive arts on those. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah.
They're be sweet.
I'm so excited about that.
One of the some niche side games I loved growing up. Did you ever play Pokemon Troze?
It sounds familiar, but I don't think I did. I think I thought it was called Trazi, if I'm not mistaken. Troze.
Honestly, anything. I could be wrong too, so I don't know. I haven't played it in years, but it's basically Candy Crush, but it's like little Pokemon heads. I think it's Gen 3 because I remember like you like just have your stylus on the bottom screen and you move them around and the heads come down. Yeah, that's it.
I remember that.
Dash, I think, is basically like a racing game where you just have your stylus, you swipe on the bottom screen.
Like that.
Yeah.
Pokemon Pinball was a classic. I also loved. I don't know if you guys
Ruby Sapphire Pinball for sure.
Yeah,
obsessed.
Yes.
Did you guys ever play Pokemon Rumble?
Yes.
I never played it. It honestly.
That was on the Wii. Yeah, for sure.
It was Wii,
yeah. That was one of those. I think that was kind of like a fever dream of a game to me, where I was like, I think I found it at like midnight and would only play it at midnight, and wasn't sure if it was something people knew about or not.
Yeah. It was all a dream.
It was really interesting. Because I remember like the first game, because I think there's multiple games now where you can actually level up. But like the first game, because you defeated Pokemon like in these little dungeons, and you were like these little you were one Pokemon, like you get Pokemon and stuff like that. But you defeated ones, and you got some with more power than yours, and so you just had to like replace them. But like they didn't like evolve or like level up in the first game. But it was actually really interesting, and like there was like you had like 2 moves that you could choose from, and there's like different like kind of like ways the moves worked, like the lengths and all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. But that's one that I'm like I just barely thought about. I was like, I haven't thought about that game in years. But similar stuff like that's like a fever dream, man. Like I feel like that was a totally different life, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was a good one. Sweet. Well, we have some shower thoughts for you now. These are
Lovely.
again like just super fun miscellaneous questions.
Good.
So don't be afraid to dig deep with these. First one is you kind of touched on it in the video as well, but now that we know that Pokemon Legends ZA is coming out, what Pokemon would you like to see get a variant form? Whether that's a starter, because obviously the starters that returned got new forms, or of course we got Sneasler, we got Ursaluna, we got a Hisui Lilligant, Basculegion.
Overquill.
So it could be a regional form, like a variant, or it could be a new evolution, like again, like what we got with Basculegion, for example.
Oh, holy cow. I know that in my heart of hearts, somebody that doesn't have a real alternate that I would love to see have an alternate in general is Shuckle.
Ooh, okay.
And this stems from my friend Peter has his own Fakemon region, and he gave Shuckle a pre-evolution and an evolution that's based off of like a submarine. And it turns him essentially into like a subnautic submarine shell. And after seeing that alone, I was like, oh, I would love to see what they play with. I think something like that could be really cool. Goodness, I'm trying to think of a Pokemon that I would love to see have an alternate form that doesn't already have an alternate form.
I know, right?
Oh man, I think it's kind of boring to say right off the bat. Obviously, I would love to see another Eevee. I think I'm just tempted at this point to see a version of every type come out at some point. Because I was like, I'm trying to think of all of my favorite Pokemon. I'm like, Articuno, they have already got a different type. Kyogre, he's already got a primal. Arcanine, he got Hisuian Arcanine. Sableye, Mega Sableye. I'm like, goodness gracious, am I set?
All my bases are covered.
I think Mega Luxray could be really cool.
Nice.
Ooh,
that would be really cool.
A great call.
Love Luxray.
I could absolutely go with a different, whether it's regional or a Mega. Mega Empoleon, I would die for. That'd be really cool. Just like give him like a full on Trident or something. I think
I was going to say the same thing.
So sweet.
Oh yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
I think he looks so cool. Gosh. I mean, I guess the main thing is I don't think there's anybody that I would be mad about getting another form. I remember when Megas came out. It's funny how much Megas have kind of gotten semi-bashed on because for a while we thought that they made Mega Evolution Pokedex entries so painful that they were trying to get rid of them and make us think like, oh, these are bad things, so get rid of them. And now all of a sudden they're back. And so
here we are.
when they came out, who wasn't excited about the fact that there were 2 new forms of Charizard? And
I know, right?
Yeah. I there's people there that I didn't even use that now have Megas. Like Audino has a Mega, and I forget Audino exists, and Audino has an evolution. So to somebody, they were like, let's give that one an evolution. They love it. Like, let's give Kling another freaking cog. People will go nuts.
Why not? Yeah, dude.
Clang. And so if they did that,
keep building on it.
If they did Clang, I think people would love him. And so I don't think there's a wrong move that they can make. I think that I have to stick with Mega Flygon has to happen. That's the one that I would say, besides my favorites, besides who I want to see, anything, the one that I think has to happen is Mega Flygon.
Yeah. I was going to say, I want to see all of like the I don't know what the proper term is, but like the semi-pseudo, the pseudo Pokemon that are like one small tier below, like Flygon. I think whenever I've looked online on like Reddit threads or YouTube videos, Flygon comes up a lot. I've seen people say Haxorus because Haxorus could definitely use a little bit of a buff. But yeah, I think for the most part, I think anything they whip out that would be pretty. I would love to see a Mega Slacking. I know Slacking's stat total is already insane, but like make it like not lazy and just like have it be, just make it broken. Like why not? It's a Mega Slacking. Just make it crazy.
Like a King Kong. That would be so crazy.
I would love to see something like that. But I think with the Mega, I wonder what they're gonna do, because obviously with Legends Arceus we had starters from different regions come in, and they didn't do the Sinnoh starters. So I wonder, with it being Kalos again, I wonder if they would give those starters. I guess Greninja obviously already gets a lot of love, but Chestnut and Delphox kind of fell to the side. So I wonder if they give like the 6th gen starters a Mega form.
I could see that for sure.
I'm pretty excited to see what they do. So
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Sweet.
I gotta ask you. So we have this other shower thought here where let's say hypothetically Gen 10's coming out here. But to have it, you have to remove an entire generation of Pokemon
Gen
to
5.
get it. Which Gen 5?
You immediately went for it. Gen 5's gone.
I know. I'm sure that I made enemies there.
Yeah, probably.
I think if I'm not mistaken, and I think that's technically not a fair argument because it's probably easiest to just get rid of like Gen 9, the one that I'm currently least attached to. I'm like, who do I really, really, really love from Gen 9? Ceruledge. Okay.
Ceruledge is dope.
So then
Ceruledge is so
just
cool.
keep Ceruledge. And if I had to say goodbye to everybody else, I don't know if I'm going to be that mad. But like, obviously, you don't want to get rid of any Pokemon. But if I'm not mistaken, maybe it's just an upset bias that I have from how bad I did in a quiz that involved Gen 5 Pokemon.
There you go. There's a vendetta with it.
But like, I don't like Snivy. I don't like Tepig. Oshawott took a while to grow on me. I do like Oshawott now, so I can't.
Okay.
I don't like the Pans or the Simmies. One of my fiance's favorite Pokemon is Pidove, so I can't get rid of Pidove now.
No.
But like, yeah, no,
I
I don't care for like I'm looking through Gen 5's roster right now, and if it wasn't for Unite, I still wouldn't care for Crustle, but now we like Crustle.
Crustle's awesome.
Trubbish is obviously kind of a meme fan favorite now. But truthfully, I stand by my word, other than maybe Chandelure.
And that's true.
Chandelure and Golurk. Like, I don't even care for the Cobalion, Terrakion, Virizion. I don't care for Tornadus, Thundurus, Landorus. And so
yeah.
I feel like for me, obviously there's a way to get me to like any Pokemon I hate. I've learned this. That if I start catching them in like a Nuzlocke or something, I'm gonna all of a sudden I went from not caring about Jumpluff to adoring Jumpluff.
Yeah.
Like, it can just happen, but if I look at the whole roster, I do not have any hard feelings about abandoning all of Gen 5.
That's fair. And you shouldn't feel bad because we asked you the question and you answered it truthfully. So anyone out there, if you're a Gen 5 defender, we put him in the situation. So no, I mean, like you said, ideally we don't cut anything, but it's always interesting to hear, like you said, that's I have an attachment to those. Nothing wrong with that. But I think the cool thing is that we do Nuzlocks as well. I found the same thing, that if I catch something and it carries me for a little bit, or it just comes up crazy clutch, or RNG blesses that specific Pokemon, I love it now. Doesn't even matter
exactly.
if I had ever used it before, if I used it a million times or whatever. I'm like, yeah, this is the one. So
we had a pair because we do Soul Links on our channel, just kind of on the side for fun.
Love Soul Links.
We had a pair that was a Tyranitar and the what's
Delmise
called, Josh?
Delmise.
Nice.
And Delmise is actually near. So Josh had the Delmise, but it's near and dear to my heart. Now the nickname we named them both Yokohama, and it was just like it's a pair that's near and dear to our heart. Now it unfortunately fainted, and so we can't use it anymore.
No.
But it's like,
I know it was carrying. It sucked. It hurt because obviously Logan's invested because he has a dang Tyranitar, so he needs my Delmise to live.
That's how it
so
freaking
we're pulling
goes.
for it. Yeah, it makes for a good time. But yeah, I mean that's one where it's like the grass ghost anchor. Who cares about that? It's like I care about it now.
I absolutely
got
care
my
about
anchor
it now.
boy. Yeah. So, anyways, well, we got a couple more for you before we wrap up our chat. We don't want to take, we appreciate you giving us some time of your night. So we'll go quick on these last couple. What's the most underrated legendary and overrated legendary in your opinion?
Oh, goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Oh, that list is rough because now I'm worried that I'm gonna say one that I'm like is super underrated, and people are gonna be like, "Are you kidding me? Like, everybody loves this guy. What are we talking about?"
I know.
I mean, it's kind of hard because the legendaries are the legendaries, so of course they're over and underloved everywhere. In my gut. Okay, safe bet. Somebody that I think is gorgeous that I have not heard anybody ever say is their favorite legendary. is not my favorite. My favorite's Kyogre. My second, I go between Articuno and Kyogre. I love those. Those are the ones I grew up on. And I can't say either's over or underrated. I'm gonna say Xerneas is very underrated.
Oh yeah, that's one of mine up there. I love Xerneas.
I think Xerneas is a gorgeous concept for a legendary. Just fairy type, awesome, and definitely deserves more love. Especially in congruence to Yveltal. That's one of those where it's like team this or that guy, and I definitely feel like more people are team Y than they are X in that situation. As for overrated, now that's the kicker, huh? Now this is the dangerous one. Oh goodness gracious. I think that, and I'm gonna say it, and I'm just gonna stick with it. Okay. I mean, Giratina.
Oh, whoa! I was not expecting that. Okay.
Yeah. I will say I was very close to saying Rayquaza, and the only reason Rayquaza is fine there in my heart is because I'm like incredible shiny Rayquaza, shiny Mega Rayquaza. It's all too pretty to look at. Giratina, don't get me wrong, I'm not okay. This is my hardest thing because I'm trying to think a Pokemon that even I love Giratina, but I think that I don't know who else I can pull down like that because I'm like I can say all of the Cloud Boys are over. If people like them, they're overrated. Absolutely. If people like freaking any of the I call the Ultra Beasts overrated too. I'll call all of them overrated. I'll throw my hands down. Everybody but Kartana.
Long live Kartana.
There are probably a few hills that I could have to die on there. Giratina, the second I said that, I was like, oh, but he does have two forms though, huh? What am I doing? Yeah. So that's a dangerous question. I don't care for that.
I know. I feel bad. We're setting you up with someone. The thing is like the legend. I think for the vast majority, if you had to ask me honestly, I range from not having any issues with them to like loving them. I feel like for the vast majority, I think Pokemon does a fantastic job with making some really cool legendaries. And they again with the lore thing. I love the lore. They tend to be the ones obviously with the most lore behind them. And like one example of me maybe like being like mixed on the design at first, but then loving it after getting behind the idea of the design was the origin form of Palkia and Dialga, where I was like, oh, these are interesting looking. But then you read why they look that way. It's because they're trying to emulate Arceus. Yeah. And they took on like features of Arceus. I'm like, that's sick. And now I'm like, those are really cool. I mean, yes, anyways, but that's like an example of like,
my risky bet would be saying Giratina, where I'm like, I love Giratina, but I'm not throwing Gen 1 or Gen 3 or Gen 2s as overrated over Giratina. But my safe bet is like, I'll happily take the flack from people if I said I don't like the Cloud Boys. I don't care for the Cloud Boys. So I'll take that one on the chin.
The Cloud Boys have to have a pretty big fan base for them to even be considered overrated in the first place. So yeah, I get it. I will say I think the Therian forms are pretty cool. But anytime Pokemon get really really humanoid, I feel a little weirded out. You know, just a little weirded out.
Sure, yeah.
But I get it. No, I mean, I guess it depends. I'd have to maybe go through the list and see what I think of each one. But I can't talk much because I'd say probably my favorite legendary is Rayquaza, but I'm like, oh, it's such a basic pick. Whenever people ask me, I'm like, I'm a Hoenn boy. I can put Kyogre and Groudon up there as well, but then it's like, I don't know, Rayquaza's just awesome, man. I'm sorry. Yeah. Love the movie. Destiny Deoxys is one of my favorite Pokemon movies.
Great.
Gosh, yeah.
Anyway, so what about you, Logan?
So I would say an underrated one for me is probably like Zekrom Reshiram. I think they're kind of forgotten in the world of legendaries, like, but they're just so cool.
Yeah, I think so.
I agree.
Overrated, I could see Rayquaza being my answer there. I love Rayquaza.
Yeah.
I get it.
But there's like, it's just, everyone loves it. And so it's
like,
I can see that.
Choice for favorite, that it is easy to say, like, well, it's not like significantly better than all the other legendaries. So yeah. that's fair.
But
honestly, my guess is if you were to,
Yeah.
I think if you were to run a poll for like every Pokemon fan, I would not be shocked if like Rayquaza and like Lugia and Mewtwo were like up at the top because they have like their defenders. But I could see I could see a sizable portion of people being like, no, they're overrated relative to the amount of love and attention they get from both the Pokemon company and the fan base, whether you agree with that or not. And again, it doesn't mean they're bad. I love Mewtwo. I love Lugia. Who doesn't? But you know.
And I feel bad for Ho-Oh. I feel like Ho-Oh kind of gets the brunt. I like Ho-Oh, but it's just like it didn't get. I don't feel like it just didn't get the same love or the design love, as some of the other bonds. But it's like there are some that are just so great though. And like I mean, I would love. Oh, talking about Legends, I would love a Legends Johto where we got to see, the creation of the legendary beast from Ho-Oh. Like it'd be so great.
That's sweet.
It'd be so cool.
That'd be cool,
man.
Yeah,
I love the lore behind the legendaries too. I think it's such a fun time. So
there's some cool stuff. I mean, one I'll just say quick. Isn't Solgaleo's nickname from Sun? Isn't like the beast that devours the sun or something like that?
Yeah,
it has like some tag on it. I was like looking at like some. I'll verify that before I put that out into the universe and act like I just made that up. But I'm pretty sure it has like some sort of nickname on it that's like that. I'll confirm that in like 5 seconds. Yeah, in ancient times, known as the beast that devours the sun. So
that's cool.
Dang.
Yeah, it's like that one little thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a Solgaleo fan now. Solgaleo's sweet. So, anyways, but sweet. Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate you hopping on with us, taking some time out of your evening to chat about your content, chat about Pokemon. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So,
yeah.
Before we sign off, we'd love to again just want to say how much we love the content, love chatting with you. Before we sign off, we'd love to hear some nuggets of wisdom. You already gave us a lot of good nuggets of wisdom, honestly, but whether it's about life, whether it's about Pokemon, whether it's about content creation, leave the people with some nuggets of wisdom. And then, if there's anything else you want to tease one more time or plug anything, now's your chance to do so.
Sure. I mean, I think that just one of the biggest keys to anything is just I try to be as optimistic in life as I possibly can, and I think that that kind of helps you, and it just gives you a nice perspective on things as you move forward. Because like I just for an example of a video that I've uploaded, the Gen 3 Pokedex quizzes that I uploaded, where it was guessing Pokemon based off their Pokedex entry from Gen 3.
Mm-hmm.
We recorded that whole video and didn't get the audio. And then we did it again and didn't get the audio again. And then we did it again and found out we never pressed record. And this is the hardest thing. So the version, I think I even say it in the video, that was the 4th attempt at doing that. Now, when you're quizzing your friends on one specific gen of Pokemon and just like that realm of their dex entries, and they've already heard from these Pokemon 3 times, it becomes really hard to start tricking them. And it's very easy to think, scratch it. Like, I mean, obviously something's telling me not to do this video. Something's telling me that this is a bad idea. Something's telling me that this isn't going to work out or whatnot. And it kept finding it's interesting how with a little optimistic perspective, you can just be like, it's not that it's telling me not to do it. It's telling me that there's a different way to do it than what we were doing. And stuff like that, it might be the key, or it might help grow to be the key that you're missing when it comes to like trying to find your niche, find your audience, find the pattern that you're happiest with. Like, I've done videos that I took the whole day to type in subtitles on that nobody watched. And I was like, I thought subtitles was the key. I thought that subtitles was the thing that made everybody watch this. And then I upload this first quiz of the wrong answers only, and there's no music in the background, and there's no subtitles, and the only editing that's really happening in there that's like spicy is that I throw up the Pokemon that my friends say. and that one found its community. So like sometimes it doesn't come down to just flair. Sometimes you don't, it's not like I need to do these zooms, I need to do these subtitles and whatnot. I'm not saying don't do that. Obviously, if you did something like that and it looked awesome, we'd all be very happy that it turned out that way. But
Yeah.
there is always a different way to do something if it's not working. And I would argue that that is worth giving a try, because like I said, I expected to just be a Pokemon Unite channel. And then I did like, these Pokemon would be cool to have in Unite. And that got a voice. And I stuck with that for a second. And then it stopped having a voice. And then I did guess the Pokemon based on their name in French. And that had a voice for a second. And then it didn't have a voice. So nothing is like guaranteed. It's obviously very awesome to just keep spreading your wings and being like, let's play with this. Let's play with this. What if we did a quiz that's like this? And eventually I just found, I was like, I'm having fun doing these skits. And people are having fun watching these skits. And sometimes they have an audience and sometimes they don't. And you mentioned it earlier. The fact that I'm having fun made it worth continuing doing, even when I couldn't predict how the world was going to care about it. There was nothing wrong with the content. There was nothing different with the content. I don't understand how my channel is where it is now. As you mentioned, there's my video on me making 1,000 subscribers, which I got there so much faster than I thought I'd ever get there. And then like a month or two later, it's at 10,000. I'm like, oh my God. And just for the record, I'm pretty sure to start this year, it was 25,000 subscribers, which is nuts.
That's
and
insane.
Within those 5 months, now we're at 110,000 subscribers. It just, and
crazy.
there's no trick. There's no nothing. It's just like at some point, a community gathered. A community was excited to see what happened next. And they stick around with notes. They stick around just because they like your personality.
Yep.
The only thing I can really say is know that you can be doing the thing the best way that you can possibly doing it, the way that you absolutely love, on the topic you absolutely love, and it might not be getting views. And that's okay, because it's possible that you make that same video. If you're making covers of music, first 20 videos might all get 10 views, and out of nowhere, you cover the James Bond theme song when a James Bond movie comes out, and that one blows up, and people will all of a sudden be like, oh my God, where have you been? Why have I not seen these things? And it just goes from there. And I know it sucks to say a lot of it involves luck, but it does. And that doesn't go against the grain of anything that you enjoy doing. It just means that there's nothing wrong about what you're doing if you enjoy it. So don't feel like you have to stop what you're doing if you enjoy it. And don't feel like you have to give up on the ideas you enjoy. There's always a way to continue doing the ideas you enjoy, even if it feels like something is telling you to stop. You don't have to stop.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so good.
I don't know if that was ranty or whatnot, but
no, that was perfect, man.
Okay. It was great, man.
That's exactly what we wanted. So that's awesome. No, we appreciate that.
I think great sum up of kind of a lot of the themes that we've had going on in our chat and things like that. As always, everybody out there, please go follow ZaneGames on his channel. We love his content. You will too. And also, please keep up with me and Josh here on Skill Link. We're going to be continuing to talk to awesome people on the YouTube spheres and other places like competitive players and other types of content creators. And we just want to, tell you also that we're, continuing with our Elite Redux Soul Link. We'll be continuing on with that. We're actually hitting a really good stride, hitting close to Flannery soon. Going to fight some magma grunts, try and make it past them. But until next time, it's Logan, Josh, and Zane signing off. I'll see you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.